Hey there, greetings everybody. I want to welcome you here this afternoon to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're doing favorites. It's Wednesday night, time to do our favorites. I've chosen a kind of smaller topic. So basically it's a 5 today. So it's 5 bands that have twin guitar players. Now there's quite a few bands out there that have this. But I picked the 5 I like the best, and I'm going to give them to you in the order I like the best. There are a few bands that have like 3 guitar players. April Wine, Iron Maiden are the 2 that come to mind. Although, so with April Wine, I decided not to include them in this because they are pretty much being a 3 guitar band for most of the period of time that they were dominant. The other band that I mentioned, Iron Maiden, weren't that way for a very long time, but over recent years have become a 3 guitar band. But we're going to go with the Iron Maiden that wasn't the 3 guitar band. So the band we're going to start out with in this is this band, Bachman Turner Overdrive. Now I chose the wrong album here. I thought this was Not Fragile. Obviously, this makes a little bit of a difference since the 2 guitar players I'm talking about are not Tim Bachman and Randy Bachman, which are featured here on the cover of this album, but Blair Thornton and Randy Bachman. So, because Rob did not play lead guitar with the band, he was basically a rhythm guitarist. He did sing a little bit, but definitely not one of the twin guitar players. So the twin guitar players for BTO are Randy Bachman and Blair Thornton. Some different styles here. So Randy tends to be more of a blues, slow hand, a picking type of guitarist, a great one at that, I might add to that. And Blair Thornton seems to be more of a rock-like guitar player, playing those classic hard rock riffs and doing the solos of that style and nature. And I like both of them for different reasons. I don't think Blair is quite as good as Randy, obviously, but he's still a very good guitar player and really adds a dimension to the band that they didn't have with Tim Bachman in there. And I think I said Rob earlier, but Rob's the drummer. Tim is the rhythm guitar player. I do apologize for that. Sometimes I don't get things right first try. Or I'll say things thinking I'm saying something else, and then I realize later I said the wrong thing. So anyways, the next band up is Thin Lizzy. Thin Lizzy, I chose Black Rose. Probably was the wrong album to choose again because I wanted to do Scott Gorham and Robbo. But since we got Black Rose here, we're going to talk a little bit more about Gary Moore. Gary Moore adds a dimension to the band that was never there before and hasn't been there since. Yes, John Sykes also came in later, and he had that kind of metal sounding guitar, but I think Gary Moore had like just some incredible licks and guitar picking, especially on this album. I found really good. Of course, Scott Gorham, been with the band throughout their inception. Really good guitar player. Can play the lead part very well as well, but tends to be more of the rifter, I think. But they kind of bounce back and forth. Both of them adding that kind of twin guitar sound that was something that started with Wishbone Ash, which I didn't include in this because I don't know Wishbone Ash as much, so I decided not to include bands that I don't have as much knowledge of. But Thin Lizzy's Gary Moore and Scott Gorham, fantastic combo here. This album is pretty heavy, lots of guitar riffing and lots of those amazing guitar solos on it. So the next one up is this band, Judas Priest. Not one of their best albums here, but a good album. Clearly illustrates the talent of both Glenn Tipton and K.K. Downing. I like both their styles. I think Tipton is probably more frontal on his assault than Downing is. Downing tends to be more metal-like, I think, in my estimation. But I like both of them quite a bit. It's just unfortunate that neither one of them really can play much for Judas Priest anymore, at least not live, because Glenn's gone. I mean, KK's gone, and Glenn is not playing on the tours. They've got other people doing that instead. And I have no problem with Faulkner. He's decent, but I think of these two as the classic two guys. So that's my number 3 one. Number 2, of course, we already talked about this a little bit. Iron Maiden. I chose this album to represent them. Probably the only choice I made here that was good for selection. Yeah, this clearly illustrates the talents of Adrian Smith and Murray as well here. Dave Murray, sorry. Both very good guitar players, a little bit different in their styles and approaches, but excellent. And, you know, they've added another guitar player since then. I prefer it if they went back to the 2, but I understand their reasoning for keeping the third guy on. And in this case, there's some really excellent guitar soloing here and guitar riffing from both of them. Both of them excellent guitar soloists and rifters. That's my number 2. Number 1, never was a doubt here. This band, Styx, and I actually like this album quite a bit. So you got 2 guitar players here that are both fantastic. So you got Tommy Shaw, who's a little bit more acoustic oriented, maybe a little bit more, I would say, kind of the normal type of soloing that you might get from a rock band, whereas JY is much heavier, much more metal-like in his guitar approach and sound. He also really knows how to be heavy and put forth that excellent guitar solo when it needs to be done. But both of them are really good guitar players. I have no problem with either one of them taking the lead, and sometimes they do the lead together, which is even better. So, oh, sorry, I just realized this is upside down. Yeah, so this is Styx, of course, and this was their most recent release, Crash of the Crown. Excellent album. If you haven't had a chance to listen to it, you should go and give it a listen. Yeah, 2 fantastic guitar players who also can both sing as well and write music very well. I think of JY as more the heavy-handed guy, whereas Tommy Shaw can play all the different stuff with the little mandolin, with the acoustic stuff, some quieter guitar, but also the heavy stuff as well if need be. So there you have it. Those are my 5 bands with twin guitarists that I love. Styx's Tommy Shaw and JY as number 1. Number 2, Iron Maiden's Adrian Smith and Dave Murray. Number 3 is Judas Priest, Glenn Tipton and KK Downing. Number 4 could be Robo, but we're going to go with Gary Moore here. So Gary Moore and Scott Gorham. And last but not least, and wrong album for this display, featuring Blair Thornton and Randy Bachman. So I hope you've enjoyed this little foray into twin guitar playing and are okay with the mess up of my album choices. I guess I should have thought a little bit more about it. Anyways, I hope you like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And don't forget to put any comments about the albums in the comment section below. And we'll be back next Wednesday with another episode of Favorites. So take care and have a good night. Goodbye.